Okay, perfect. Hey guys, Happy New Year. I hope everyone is good. Just setting my phone up so I can see everyone's comments. But welcome back. This is my first stream back since well, pretty much my first stream of 2026. But I hope everyone enjoyed the holidays and you had some time off. But yeah, let's go. Let me know in the comments how your week has been. I know for some of you this will be the first week back trading. It's been a great week for me. So yeah, let me know in the comments. Amazing. Happy New Year. I can see some people here are here for the first time. And if you're not here for the first time and you're someone who always supports, then I'm super grateful for you guys. But yeah, we're gonna go through NQ, gold, Euro USD, GBP USD. These are the things that I trade. If we got some time, then we'll go through anything else that you want me to look at. And remember, you can always ask me questions as we go along. It's I'm here to help and support you guys as much as possible. It's been 10 days. I want a YouTube and I still haven't received. Okay, if AJ Va sorry, I can't pronounce that name, but I don't recognize this username as one of the winners. If most people who have won an account, they've already received it. So Sadar Abdul, yeah, so guys, you're gonna have to DM, you can see there in the comments, but yeah, some of your usernames I don't recognize you guys as being someone that I've given it away to. So am I an ICT trader? No, I'm not really an ICT trader. You're going to learn very quickly how I trade. So I'm going to start now, guys, and then I will answer some comments as we go along afterwards. So, okay, let me just move this so you guys can clearly see my screen. So the way that I like to start every time I come onto the charts is I do my top-down analysis. So I always start on my daily time frame. I'm a day trader, guys. I'm not a swing trader, so I don't really look at like the weekly, the monthly. In all honesty, I'm literally trying to just day trade. So I'm trying to find my positions for the day. Okay, so we can get rid of this one here. Okay, so looking at NQ right now, we're really bouncing on this trend line here. And just so that you guys know, even though I use trend lines are not my signals. This is my guide. This is just the first step. With my strategy, we have to layer on each layer. So it's not just, okay, this is it, and now I'm looking for sales. We've got to build up the scenario. We've got to build up the bias by using multiple time frames. So right now, when I look at NQ, we've really pretty much exhausted this trend line triangle. It's a falling wedge, kind of. It's not perfect falling wedge because it didn't really last very long. But when this happens, we're either going to see a big push up or a big push down, or we could consolidate before that move happens. So I always like to put my trend lines on the wicks, and I don't create more trend lines. I just move my trend line out like this until the trend line is basically not valid anymore. So we're actually going to move this out here. And I'm probably actually going to move this trend line slightly up. So here we are. For me right now, NQ, there is no real direction on the daily. Something that is a really, really big important lesson for you guys, and take it from me, learn from my mistakes, that when you are unsure, don't trade. That is your answer. If you're unsure about something, if you're not seeing clear direction, the best thing to do is not trade. So right now on the daily, in all honesty, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking it could go up, it could go down. Market structure, you know, we've now created equal highs. You know, it's half of it saying bullish, half of it saying bearish. So, you know, this is not clear indication. I also trade from key levels on the higher time frame, so that's the daily and the 4 hour. So I'm going to mark up my areas of supply and demand that haven't been tapped into already, because that's how for me, if a zone hasn't been used yet, then for me that is a valid zone. So right now, like for example, if you mark this area up here, it's already been tapped into, so it may not be respected as much as it was the first time. I mean, this is a huge candle like this, so it's like I personally am not going to mark that up like that. I'll use the lower time frame, maybe the 4 hour. But yeah, so the only thing that I can really see right now is that this area here is a potential supply zone, so an area that we could potentially look to sell from. Yeah, to sell from, but not really very many places to buy from on the daily. Okay, so before I drop down to the 4 hour, I will quickly just check some comments. Pips Made Simple. Hey, how are you doing? What type of proof? Screenshots? Yeah, if you got screenshots, then just send it over to me, or DM Andre on Discord. We'll be doing a giveaway at the end, guys, so there's no point asking for an account now. We'll do the giveaways at the end. So if you want to have a chance of winning one of the free accounts, you're going to have to stay till the very end. And 3 people will be picked at random. So you just got to stay till the very end. There's no when I say being engaging, that's not just spamming. Ask good questions, be part of the community, be supportive, and 3 winners will be picked at the end. But don't stress out, guys. We do this every single week. But yeah, so right now for me, it's with someone said they feel like NQ needs to sweep and then go bullish. Technically overall we are pretty bullish, but right in this moment, there's no real certain bias for me on the daily. If we have a look at the 4 hour, we can start kind of looking at what's going on this picture here. And we had a trend line here that was broken, had a bit of a fake out up there, and then it just dropped. So again, like what I like to do is I like to just keep moving my trend lines out like this, but once we start getting close to the big one, it's just not valid anymore. So I'm not going to do that. We've got a bit of a steeper trend line here on the 4 hour, but again, it's not really, I wouldn't take a trade here to sell to here. It's no point. So what I'll do is I'll mark up some key levels now on the 4 hour. So this here is, I'm not 100% sure because it's such a doji candle. On other charts, it might not even be a red candle. So this is a potential demand zone, but this is not, I'm not going to say I'm 100% demand zone. So I'm just going to do a light blue color there. And like I said, I'm looking for zones that haven't been traded into yet. So we can see here, this kind of has already been traded. It's already been traded over there. For me right now, there's just not a lot of areas to be potentially buying and selling from. Down here would probably, so this would be my certain demand zone down here. So I know someone said maybe taking some sell side liquidity, so maybe taking buys from here, or maybe even taking buys from here. But right now, there's nothing that we can do, guys, on NQ, because I don't start dropping down to the lower time frames until I'm ready to enter. I don't use the lower time frames for anything else apart from entry. I don't want the lower time frame to confuse me with my decision, because I go off the higher time frames. Trend line, how do you decide your TP? So I trade from zone to zone. So yeah, like, what, for example, if I took a buy here, I'd be wanting to aim for up here, or the top of that trend line there. And vice versa, if this pushed up here and I wanted to take a sell and it gave me everything that I needed, I would then either be aiming for this trend line or this zone here. Did you trade gold or another this is NQ. We're going to look at gold in a minute. SSL in the lower time frames, and a 4-hour and a 1-hour FEG. Trend lines, how do you decide your okay, I just answered that one. What lowest time frame do you use? So the lowest time frame, I literally go down to the 1 minute. Please. Okay, how do you control emotions when trading? We'll go over some psychology stuff shortly, but I just want to have a look at some of the other pairs. And for people just asking for an account, that's not going to make it any more. It's not going to make it you by just spamming saying please give me an account. I'll be so honest, but it is done at random. I will, 100%. The winners will be picked at random. Okay, so let's have a look at gold now. I do like looking at gold. Yes, I want to know. What is it that you want to know, ICMM? Same here, 1 minute. So I trade NQ, gold, I do trade silver, and I trade Euro USD and GBP USD. So let's have a little look at gold. We all love gold, don't we? I'm quite bullish on gold. I'm I don't really like it when I leave all of this mess up here, so we can get rid of all of this. But yeah, so for me, I'm pretty bullish on gold. Like I said, I like to put my trend lines at the wick, so I am gonna take this out a little bit. So if we just move this out a little bit and put the trend line at the wick rather than going through. Trend lines are very, very subjective, guys. Everyone's got their own kind of way of doing it. There's no real right or wrong. It's whatever kind of works for you. So I'm going to mark up my key levels for the daily. Potentially this area can be an area to buy from. But yeah, I'm not going to mark that up there as a supply just because it's already been tapped into. So yeah, let's have a look at the 4-hour. 4-hour. Yeah, so we can see here we had a bit of a correction. Now we look like we're in the extension again. Gold is really kind of pushing. So I'm just going to create some more areas of interest, so more key zones now, but on the 4 hours. So maybe this here, and then I'll mark up there potential area to sell from, because we haven't actually fully got into that yet. We got very close. We're reaching it now, so it'll be interesting to see how it reacts to this area. This is a potential supply zone, but it could also be a breakout zone. So if we actually start to break above, we could then come back to retest within it, and then you take your buy from this area here. This is why I like my key zones. I'll watch. Gold bullish, yes. What rule do you never break in trading? So what rule do I never break in trading? Um, as you know, my rules over time have developed because my strategy, my system has developed. But one rule that I have is that I never make decisions based on the lower time frame. So I never make my initial decision based on anything apart from the 4 hour or the daily or potentially the 1 hour. And I always do top down analysis. So I never start from the lower time frames moving up. I always start from the top and I move down. So this is like a 100%, even if I break my other rules, this is something that I will always stand by because I always like to trade from the bias of the higher time frames, but I only use the lower time frames for final confirmation. And someone said, how do you manage your emotions? It's a very broad question. So if anyone's got any like psychology questions, and I love answering these, and I feel like they're very beneficial because we all know as a trader, this is the hardest part to trading. If you've got any questions on psychology, give me some examples of like what it is that you struggle with, and you know, some real life examples, so then we can start going through that and I can give you as much value as possible. Okay, so right now on gold, I am bullish, but really, you know, we're very close to this area here. So it'll be interesting to see how we respond when we get to this area. There's no setup for me here because the move has already been done, you know. If you were maybe going to take a buy, it would have needed to be around this area here, potentially. I do like to use the Fibonacci retracement sometimes on the 4 hour. So if we have a little look, kind of tapped into the 50% there. Yeah, you know, I like this as a bullish move, but that initial move is something that has been missed for me. But if this bullish momentum continues, it doesn't mean that we're just 100% selling from here. We could actually, like I said, use this zone as a buy zone now. So until that happens, though, we you know, we got to be really patient. And another lesson that I learned last year and in my trading journey, the biggest skill that all of you guys should practice is patience. People are just so desperate to trade all the time. I need to pass my account. I need to just trade every day. You don't. This is not what professionals do. Sometimes you might go a week without trading if your setups aren't there. And I've learned that I'd rather wait and not trade rather than just lose money and just trade for the sake of trading. So practice patience every day. If you don't have a setup, move on to the next thing. There's no point us even going down to the 1 hour because, like I said, right now we're too close to this zone for me to buy into this zone. So there's nothing for me to do on gold as well. Okay, let's have a little look at Euro USD. Just do some, how do I handle losses? Okay, still trying hard to follow my rules. It's the only thing preventing me from being profitable. Trade ninja, you're not alone. This is the reason why most people aren't profitable. So don't feel like you're behind or there's anything wrong with you. This is the truth for most people. Maybe not everyone admits to it, but if you are struggling to follow your rules, you need to ask yourself, like, what is it that's triggering you? You know, what are the main things that you end up breaking all the time? Are you over trading? Are you FOMO trading? Are you over risking? Ask yourself what those things are and then really dig deep. Most people don't dig deep. They just keep making the same mistakes and just living, you know, on repeat rather than actually looking at their data, journaling on the reasons, you know, the feelings that are coming up for them, and then figuring out what we can do about it. But you have to know, you know, I can't answer your question until I know, until you know. But for me, when I handle losses, again, I don't just have I don't just have a system in place for my entry. I have a system in place to handle my emotional to handle the emotions, and I got a risk management strategy. So we got a trading strategy to actually get into the trade. I've got an emotional strategy, and I have a risk management strategy. How many of you have a strategy for all three things? Most people just know how they're going to enter the trade, but how are you going to handle a loss? Like if someone asks, how do you handle losses? For me, I understand myself. I've had to get to know myself, and I've done this through lots and lots of journaling, lots and lots of reflection. At the moment, my psychology struggles if I take more than two losses. It only used to be one loss. I used to only be able to take one loss in a day, and if I took one loss in a day, that's it. Laptop shut. I'll come back tomorrow. I do a lot of mindful things like meditation, reading, walking, exercising. I go to the gym a lot. I do those things in the meantime because I need to get myself back out of that state so the next day I can come back and not take with me what happened yesterday. So make sure you know yourself. I've now developed as a trader, and it's not changed too much, but now I can handle two losses. But after two losses, I'm done. Shut the laptop, have a system in place. This is just as much your rules as your rules of technical analysis. I hope that makes sense to you guys. How much time did it take you to become profitable, and what is the fastest way to be consistently profitable? Okay, so I've been trading for nearly 9 years now. This year will be 9 years. I didn't start making money until 5 years in, and that's because I tried to just do everything on social media, and I tried to do all the shortcuts. So I tried to do signals, I tried to just copy other people. I didn't really want to learn. And that's, your journey doesn't need to be like that. You either going to invest your time or you're going to invest your money. You choose. As I have developed as a person, as have my own businesses and stuff like that, I know rich people appreciate their time more than money, because money can be made, but time will never get back. So I like to learn from other people. So and I learn from their mistakes. I want to know what it is that they've done wrong so I can avoid it. I want to journal and learn about myself and understand what works for me. But it was a bit of a process. It's not a get rich quick, it's get rich slow, but it's worth it, guys. It's all worth it, otherwise you wouldn't be here. But that's just some words of wisdom for you. um let's have a little look on the daily time frame. Okay, so let's move the trend line out here. Let's get rid of this one. We can see here Euro USD we're pretty bearish. We're going to get rid of some of these zones that I've marked up. Right now, I can't even move this trend line out because we haven't really created a high yet. I'm sorry, not a high, a low. But we're literally about to just come into this daily supply and demand zone. So it's interesting because you can see here that we have been extending for a very long time. This is a lot of red candles. At some point we're going to have to pull back, even if we then continue down lower. So it'll be interesting to see if we maybe start seeing a bit of rejection now. But our next zone after that will be all the way down here. The only thing, this has already actually been a little bit tapped into. You see here, this zone was created and then this candle here tapped in. So this might be invalid. I'm going to just make it a lighter color so I know it's a bit less, not as strong. It's already been tapped into. But this is interesting because you can see by looking at the candles, they're getting smaller and smaller. We got a wick here starting to reject. So maybe in the next few days, we might start to see some bullish momentum again. And we might start to see a bit of a pullback and then something like this, where we come back to retest, could retest the area we broke. Something like that. And then dropping down to the 4 hour. Yep, we can see we are pretty bearish on the 4 hour. We can create a trend line like this. on the 4 hour. But yeah, you can really start to see now that it does look like the sell side is weakening a little bit. So this is an interesting area. Are we going to start to reject and start to pull back? Right now, again, there's not really a lot that we can do. I'm gonna just mark up. There's no point really marking that up because we're in this zone anyway. We're in this zone. Potential areas to sell from if price comes back to these areas. Yeah, potentially. No, I think we've already tapped into that, so no. So yeah, maybe just there at the moment. So yeah, we could start to see price come back up to this area and then continue down, and it would make technical sense, if you're looking at it from that way. But right now, until we actually start to see price coming back out of this zone, I'm not going to do anything. I'll sit on my hands and we'll wait. Okay, just gonna read some of these comments. What about the giveaway, Mr. 420? You got to wait till the very end. Asking for the account won't make a difference. ICMM says you so you overtrade. Overtrading is because you're coming from a place of desperation. If you guys are coming from a place of desperation, then you're going to really struggle with trading. You're going to have to start actually looking at aspects of your life as to why you are feeling very desperate, why you don't believe you're enough, or what your beliefs around this topic is. But overtrading is believing that it's a form of self-sabotage. You're self-sabotaging yourself, and you might have to actually look at other areas of your life, because if you've been here before, you've probably heard me say that I really believe that trading, the way that you trade, is only a reflection of who you are. So for me, trading actually made me look at myself in the mirror and be completely honest with myself. Some of the things I really didn't like to admit, and I didn't like to see, but until I could drop my ego and just surrender, that was the moments that really started to change for me. Do you use supply and demand? Yes, William. So where I'm marking up my key areas, this is supply and demand, but I'll do that on the daily and the 4 hour. The main thing is when I lose, I do overtrade and end up losing more. Okay, King and Marie. So this when you lose is basically, again, a lot of people don't like losing. People don't like being wrong. It's their ego saying, I need to prove myself now. Stop taking losses so personally. It's not personal. We all have losses. Losing streaks are normal. When these emotions and feelings come up for you, you got to journal on them. You got to talk to that side of you as if it's another person, because until you let the ego go and start doing things like that, then you can actually really discover a lot about yourself. When I hear people say like they start to lose and then they just lose more and more, that's like I'm sorry to say this, but a lot of men don't like losing because they're very competitive in nature. You guys have heard like alpha male and stuff like that. You're very competitive in nature, so you don't like to lose. But actually, you have to realize that losing isn't personal. No one's watching you. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone. Taking a loss isn't a bad thing, but what is a win is being able to walk away from a loss and not get angry and think, oh, I need to win that back, I need to prove myself. That's insecurity. And again, these are things that I've had to discover about myself. I didn't believe that I had a big ego. I didn't believe that I didn't like losing because it hurt me. I thought I was completely the opposite, but trading showed me that I struggle. I don't want to lose, but actually in life, losing and winning is just the there's no negative, there's no positive. It's just what you do, how you take it. Because if you've taken a loss because you followed your rules, your system, that's not a loss. The losses are when you spiral out of control, when you're not learning from your mistakes. Then yes, it's a negative thing. But I don't. I choose to see my losses as a positive, as long as I have not just outright just gone and broken my rules. Um, mm, okay, sorry, we got a lot of comments here, but I'm hoping that this is helping you guys. Um, why do many people attack trendline traders? Okay, so I think a lot of the reason why people don't like trendline traders is because I would personally say trend lines is one of the highest technical tools that has quite a lot of fake outs. But you have to understand how to use trend lines. Like I said, trend lines are showing fake outs all the time, but I don't make decisions based on trend lines. I use trend lines as a guide. But people who don't understand that people are doing that, they just hate on trendline traders. um, uh, just trying to find where we are in the comments, guys. Sorry. How to mark trend lines. I mean, we've been doing that, so you're just gonna have to actually watch. uh, build up the scenario. Is it looking for move confluence or confirmation? Right. I think I've gone back too far in the comments. I'm missing some of these things. I'll try to answer as many of your questions and things as I can, guys. Waiting on a short on NQ and gold. I mean, we've already looked at NQ and gold. I'm going to look at GBP USD now, I think. Because yeah, you guys know, for me this is an area of interest, but until we actually come out this side or we come out this side, I'm not going to make that decision. So let's start again on the daily. I know people are asking about trend lines, how we draw them up. We'll start from the top so you guys know. So the reason why I'm going to put the trend line there and not at the top there is because I'm pretty sure this was just news, so it's a bit of a manipulation. And you can see here, I just like to move my trend lines out like this, but we're pretty much all the way up here. So this trend line is now void. We've just got the two trend lines. We have got a bit of a steeper trend line here happening, but I'm going to just see where it shows on the chart. Okay, very steep though, so yeah, potentially have it there. Okay. Looking at GBP USD, I am also bearish, the same as Euro USD. I'm going to mark up some supply and demand zones that haven't been tapped into yet. So this one already been tapped into. This one already been tapped into. So maybe the kind of zone that hasn't been tapped into that we can potentially look for price to come down to is down here. And it's very nearing, this other trend line as well. So I can see, price moving down this way. It doesn't mean it's just going to move down there all at one time. And then areas to sell from, probably going to have it here. So we haven't made it up there yet. So here is my demand, that's my supply zone, this is my my range. Okay, now we can drop down to the 4 hour and see what's happening on the 4 hour. We can see here on the 4 hour we've had a lot of a lot of red candles. You know, we're kind of at an area now, which was this is a 4 hour 4 hour demand zone. But again, if we break through the other side and we don't reject out, this could also be an area to sell from. And you can see here, you know, we didn't start rejecting out. We look like we're breaking through, which is interesting. So it'll be interesting to see how this next 4 hour candle closes. Let's say we push down and actually break out of this range. I would definitely have an alarm on to monitor this area if price comes back to it, because what we would want price to do is actually come back and retest this area. That's when we're now starting to drop down, but we need this 4 hour closure outside of this zone to be looking for a sell and using this zone to then sell from. But yeah, again, you know, like I don't drop down anymore until I'm ready to actually enter. This was something that I picked up last year to stop me from wanting to enter. You know, I literally have a rule list and we go through the rules and we only continue when the next step is ready. So the next step is not ready. We know, like I said, what I want now is a 4 hour closure. So until this 4 hour candle closes, I'm not even going to think about dropping down onto the lower time frames. Okay, so I'm just gonna answer some questions and then we will do the giveaway, guys. Thank you so much for these questions. You guys are amazing. Okay, we need to, I keep going up too high. Okay, let's just, but with trend lines, you have set up every day. With trend lines, I don't set them up every day because I only have trend lines on the 4 hour and the daily, so they don't really change that much. How do you get over with when your position is stopped out and then a few hours later it reverses into your direction? Again, June Luzon, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but this is to do with your ego. Don't take it personally. So what? There's always another trade. There's always another trade. Learn to practice detaching from the outcome. It's all about your system. If you got stopped out, you know, a lot of times I get stopped out and then straight away it goes my way, hits TP. But we don't want to be so attached to the outcome. You followed your rules, you learn from it. Okay, maybe the volume was too high, maybe I made my stop loss too small. You know, learn from it, understand why we got stopped out. You know, I'm starting to implement volume into my trading to understand how big a stop loss should be. When I figure that out, guys, I will of course let you know. But right now, you know, you need to learn from these things. But don't let that ego lead you. I can always tell when ego leads someone because they'll say things like that. They'll say it really hurts them when it goes their way and they've got stopped out, or I can't take a loss, so I have to win it back and get. That's all your ego. The quicker that you can just surrender, guys, and let your ego go, I promise you, you know, it might hurt a little bit, but would you rather just have a really big ego or make money? Answer that question. Okay. Engulfing candle theory. Yeah, I don't really pay too much attention to that in all honesty. Samir Khan, I'm not gonna I've gone through a lot of the trading strategy. If you've only just kind of jumped in, maybe just come on to the next live so then you can watch all the analysis again. NQ already inside the 1 hour FEG. I hope I have enough patience to trade properly. Again, you know, if that's your strategy right now, I don't drop down to the 1 hour until the 4 hour and the daily have given me what I need. So yeah, my main problem is patience. So this is a lot of people's main problem is patience. It's because there's something in you that doesn't believe that the trade is just going to come. Maybe you believe that, you know, you're not a very lucky person and you've never, things haven't gone your way. You know, you might have created this whole story around your life that you're just not that person. So when it comes to patience and believing that the right setup will come inside, you just don't believe that. So like I said, guys, you have to really start to get to know yourself. The way that you trade, look at everything that you're doing in your trading and start to see how this correlates with you outsider trading. Because one way that actually helped me massively change how I trade is I changed my habits and my traits outside of trading. So I wasn't very disciplined. That's why I chose what can I do that's very highly disciplined. I'll go to the gym. I need to take up going to the gym and focusing on my fitness because that takes discipline. And I started to realize I'm not a disciplined person. So all of last year, I focused on being disciplined with my fitness. That was the first year in my whole 29 years of life that I was disciplined with my fitness, all because of trading. And do you know what happened? I become more disciplined in trading. And you'll probably hear a lot of, I've spoken to a lot of traders and they say very similar things. Um, but yeah, 9 years, it's crazy, isn't it? How do you turn losses into lessons? So you need to this is where mentorship really comes into play. I know sometimes money is a bit of a barrier. If you don't have mentorship, this is why we do things like this. I'm answering your questions. Be part of communities that allow you to share your trading, your trades to get feedback so that you can learn from those lessons. That's all I can really, I will always say mentoring will always speed up your process. But if you don't have the funds to get mentoring, if you do, I 100% think this is the best investment. But if you don't, that's fine. This is why ThinkCapital are amazing, because they invest in things like this so that I can mentor you, I can help you. This is why I really appreciate the people who genuinely come on here with real questions, trying to better themselves instead of just coming on here begging, oh, please give me the account, because you're not serious. I really appreciate you guys who are serious. You're coming with me with vulnerable questions because this is your chance to get mentoring without paying for it. I try and answer your questions, whatever's going on with your trading. Come to these sessions and ask good questions. Don't just come here just begging for accounts, because it just shows that you're not serious. Do you think solitude helps? Yes and no. Yes and no. I think solitude to an extent can help, because I think it's important to be able to hear your own thoughts. But when you're too isolated and you're not around the right kind of people who are going, I do think being alone is better than being around the wrong people. But if you can get around the right people, and sometimes being on your own, you can very much get in your head. Sometimes I can get in my head, and then I say it out loud, I say it to my friends or the right people, and then they make me feel better. So yeah, a solitude to an extent. Why gold going up against the news? So gold for me, there's a lot of fundamental stuff happening right now in the US. So remember, gold doesn't just move on what is happening with red folder news. If there are crises going on and there's a big fears happening, then I believe that gold is seen like a safe haven. So you will see it go up even if the dollar is also going up. I don't believe that there's a strong, not a super strong sometimes, but just because the dollar is going up, it doesn't mean gold's going to go down. We've got a little bit more time we've got a couple more minutes to do a few more questions. Sadar, we've already done GBP USD. We've literally just done that. I'm waiting for 4-hour closure. If we close outside of this zone, I'll wait for price to come back to this zone, come down to the lower time frames, maybe look for an area of supply on the 1 hour or the 15-minute, then go and drop down to the 1 minute, the 5 minute, to then get my confirmed entry. But we got to wait for the 4-hour closure. How do you determine your buyers? Ahmed, you're gonna have to be here for the next session because we're about to close off. But if you're here for the next session, you'll understand how I trade. Is it okay to trade only one pair? Absolutely. I only traded gold. I only just recently last year started trading more things. And how do you change your bias being flexible? Again, don't let your ego get in the way. one of the things that I realized is the second that I didn't attach myself to what my opinion was, I then actually saw what is right in front of me. You know, just because I'm saying a sell position here, if we then broke back up the other way, I'm not opposed to a buy. You know, I'm not going to get fixated on my opinion, because my opinion is just my opinion. I let price tell me what's happening. What's your most reliable indicator? I've started using the MACD, but I've only just started to use that. What trading books do you recommend? The Best Loser Wins, guys. You all got to go read that. The Best Loser Wins by Tom Hogarth. That's one of my favorite books. Do you reduce your risk after losses or keep it fixed? A lot of the time I have a fixed loss amount. I usually risk about zero, like the maximum 0.5% of my account, but on average maybe 0.2 0.3%. I don't risk a lot. If you mark the trend line on daily time frame, do you stay on the same time frame or do you shift? I use the lower time frame only for my entry. So this is just confirmation. Say I've built up my scenario on the 4 hour, the daily, we're in the zone, it's given me what I wanted. Like I said, if we get a break out, this 4 hour candle closes like this, that is my first part of my decision. Okay, I'm now looking for sales. So now I'm gonna have an alert here. So when price, you know, if it breaks down here, we say when price comes to here, we're gonna monitor it. When we see it come back to here, what I want to see is a big rejection from this area. So we want to see some bearish market structure on the lower time frame, the 15-minute. You know, once that happens, it might create a small area of like supply on the 15-minute. We mark up that area and then we use the very small time frame, like the 1 minute, the 5 minute, to then get our entry. Okay, guys, you guys have literally given me amazing questions. Like I said, I really appreciate you all for taking your trading journey serious, because I really want to help those people who are genuinely serious about this, you know, and serious about learning from their mistakes, and not just repeating, you know, the same cycle. But thank you so much for everyone that stayed on. We're gonna do our 3 winners now. So okay, the first winner, I'm looking away, and the first winner is Sadar Abdullah. Sadar Abdullah. Right, let me just grab my phone so then I can type your name in. Sadar Abdullah. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I'm literally just typing it into the comments, so then you can screenshot this. I've just typed you into, oh, there you are. You've responded. Congratulations, you're our first winner. I'll tell you in a minute how to get your account. Our second winner. So it's literally just chosen at random. Okay, so we got Samar. Let's have a look. I don't know if you're still here. I saw your name quite high up, to be honest. Samar. I can't see if you have accepted it. Right, we're gonna have to go again with that one, and then this time I'm gonna screenshot, so then I know who it is, because you guys are just spamming the comments and now I can't see who the winner is. Okay, my second winner is Doji ICT. Doji ICT. I've done a quick screenshot so I can type that name in because I know you guys are going to absolutely spam out the comments. So that person is Doji ICT. Doji ICT. Oh, yes, I see you there. Doji ICT, you're still here. So if you can claim your prize, that would be brilliant. Doji ICT, make sure you screenshot where I've done the comment where it says Doji Trades. Screenshot that. And then my last winner goes to ICM. Okay, I did a quick screenshot as well, so then I can definitely remember what the name is. ICMMMX. ICMMXM. There we go. My third winner. I've just posted you in now, so I'm just going to wait to see if you are still here. Oh, yes, ICMMXM. You've just put say. You are our winner. You'll have to go up in the comments and screenshot where I typed your name in. But you guys are my 3 winners for today. Thank you so much, guys. What you can do is send your screenshot either to Andre in the Discord, or you can message me on Instagram, just Doey Trades. I'm the one with the blue tick, so you know that it's me. But yeah, you can either message me with your screenshot where I've put the name in there, or you message Andre directly. And we'll be doing another giveaway next week, guys. But I really appreciate you all. I'm sorry if I couldn't answer your questions, but thank you so much for tuning in. And we'll be back next week, same time, for some more analysis. And I really hope that this has been useful for you guys. But like I said, if you can't afford mentorship, guys, be here. Be here and learn. Do everything that you can to learn from the free resources that you have. Take it seriously. Don't just come here and just put in the comments, help me get a new account. Actually ask the questions that you need help with. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, and have the most amazing day and weekend, and I will catch you all next week. See you later, guys. Bye.